We're here with Ding and Jennifer Rosthal, two of Oil and Money's leaders for tomorrow. First of all, could I ask you, what does it mean to have been selected as a leader for tomorrow? Cherry?
It's been a great honor. I think that not all of us were from the technical side of things, and I think it's a great thing to choose people also from policy, from finance, from some of what we call the supporting sectors. So it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I echo what Cherry said. I'm from the finance side of things, and I think it's been a really good experience to see also internationally what's happening a little bit more. I work mostly in North American gas, and so it's definitely been a learning experience, and I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of really interesting industry leaders.
And can I ask, what's attracted you to the industry?
I grew up in Houston, and so the energy industry has always been a big part of my life. Come from a family that was in the business, and to be honest, I was always really interested in it. As I went through my education, I focused a little bit on environmental economics and energy. And then as I went on to graduate school, I just think that it's one of those businesses that impacts everybody's life, and because of that, it's always changing, and there's always something interesting and dynamic about it. And so that's how I got into the business.
For me, I'm also from Houston, and but I have an international relations background, but what interested me about energy is coming from China, the fact that China is playing such a major role right now in energy. It's actually a really exciting time, and I hope to use some of my knowledge of the area and to bridge the gap between US and China in energy.
And do you think the industry needs to change in any way to ensure it attracts the highest caliber people, and also perhaps address the gender imbalance that's evident in places?
Do you want to take this one?
I think that the business as a whole, especially on the finance side of things, I'm in energy trading, power and gas, I think they do a pretty good job of attracting people. One thing that was pretty interesting yesterday, we met with Christophe de Margerie, the CEO of Total, and discussed the kind of the way people look at the business, and they see it as more of a dirty industry. And so there's definitely an image problem within the business. I think in certain locations it's not as much of a problem in places like Houston, but I think that's probably the first thing that would need to change to attract more people. From the gender role perspective, I think that it's definitely changed over the last 30 years. There's been a lot of discussion here about how hard it is for women in this business and how few women there are. And I think if you look at engineering now and you look at the people entering the industry, that's definitely changing. One thing I think that's important is to be able to balance family and work life. And these are high-paced, technical businesses, and sometimes that can be a bit of a challenge that companies need to address and ensure that it's possible to be, both a wife and a mother and also be in this industry.
I completely agree with what was said, but I think that, well, from my perspective, I don't really see that much of an imbalance. Maybe more so at the technical levels, like engineers, geologists, things like that. I can see why people in the industry are concerned. But from my perspective, dealing with policy and more broader level things, I don't really see it so much.
In terms of a changing industry, how do you think social media is changing the industry? You've both been tweeting this week. Do you think it's changing the way business is done?
I think that businesses definitely before, they didn't really have to account for these extra stakeholders online. But now things are moving very fast. Everything that's said in one place around the world is being, retweeted again and, in other parts of the world. So I think it's another important factor you have to consider.
Yeah, I think one thing that it's definitely done is it's increased the pace at which we can get information. In my business, things change very rapidly, and a decision by a legislature, a decision by a regulator can move the market several dollars. In power, 20, 30 cents in natural gas, and have large percentage changes, and they happen very quickly. So I think one of the big things that's changed even over the last 5 years from when I started interning in this business is, following regulators, especially on social media. I have found that I actually get information faster than I do if I'm merely watching their websites. And so I think that the ability of the market to react very quickly is what's changed the most.
Finally, just ask you how you found Oil and Money. Has it been beneficial for you coming here?
Yeah, definitely. I think that I think the biggest thing for me has been the networking opportunity, the ability to meet people that are really making a difference in the business, and also a learning experience from aspects of the industry that I'm not involved in.
Yeah, I think they did a pretty good job this year, or every year that it's been held, of covering all the different wide range of issues from the industry perspective to regional. We heard people talking about the Middle Eastern politics, political turmoil, to finance and the shale revolution. So I think it was definitely a great opportunity for me, for us to come here and kind of get a full impact, immersion in everything that's happening so far.